welcome back to Young and Unscripted. We are so excited to be back at the podcast. We have a really exciting guest on today. We have Cinsy Tam, who is a photographer and CEO of Mami Management. So, Cinsy, welcome!
Thanks. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're so
excited.
excited. She's our first guest on the podcast, so we're really excited to take the podcast to new lengths and to new levels. So, yeah.
I mean, this is my first podcast too, so yeah, well, I'm kind of like not really sure how this is going to go.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's exciting. I feel like it's one of those things that when you originally started, you're like, oh, okay, the camera's out, everyone's out, but as you get into it.
Yeah, forget that it's all there and just,
Yeah, it's funny because I was literally saying, like, I can yap, like, it's fine, like, this will be fun.
Yeah.
But then now I'm sitting here, we're recording, it's like,
Yeah. So let's start by asking you your background for people who don't know you. How did you get into the industry? Where did it all start?
Yeah, so I'm a fashion photographer and I also run a mother agency called Mami Management, and that's of course how I know you.
Yes.
But yeah, so everything kind of started off as me being a photographer, and I'd always say that I've been quite lucky in terms of I knew that I wanted to be a photographer from like my GCSEs.
Oh wow!
So like really like knew where I wanted to go and like my direction. And I think that's quite it's quite hard for like a teenager to, or a child really, to know what route you want to go into, like as from that young age. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it and gravitated towards it. And I think because I was able to study photography as a GCSE, that really like allowed me to just start from there really. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that, and that's how I started. And then I just did the classic route of like photography as A-levels. To be honest, I think I basically picked all subjects where I didn't have to do exams.
Coursework.
Under pressure, I'm just not great at. But coursework, cool, I've got it. So yeah, photography was just the direction that I wanted to go into, and then I studied it at London College of Fashion.
Oh, cool.
So that's what I was doing there. And actually I think that's where I excelled the most, because I was immersed in like creativity and around people who wanted the same things. So I developed so much, like, and just learned so much.
And did you have a lot of creative freedom with your course? Because I guess with GCSE and A-level it's a bit more structured, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of, I'd actually say it's kind of the same, but like each time from like GCSE to A-level to degree, it is a lot more in depth, like in terms of research. Because that's what they love, like they love research. Yeah,
is there a lot of theory behind it? I feel like people who were doing,
I guess so. There is, because you wanna, there's always like referencing and like where you get your inspiration from, and just where your ideas come from and how to make that unique, I guess.
Did you find, like when doing it at GCSE and A-level, did you find a preference for a certain type of thing, like photographing people or objects or like abstract?
I went straight into people actually.
Wow,
I think it's because I have always been like a people's person. So and like I knew that I wanted to be in fashion. Like I loved the like luxury and glamour of it all. I mean, obviously as a child you do idolise all of that, and then you kind of come into the industry and realise it's not like that at all. But it's good because I think just being around people and shooting like models and like women, for me I think is what I mainly shoot really, like that's what I've just gravitated towards naturally.
I think even we were looking at your Instagram the other day and your portfolio.
I was saying Sienna, I have sent her a voice note. I love Cinsy's photos.
And
they really they're beautiful, like they've really stood out to me.
Oh, thank you so much.
I love the vibrancy of it, like your aesthetic. It was really cool.
I'm trying to so how it all started was I was actually just I was doing a lot of test shoots with models in different agencies, and that's kind of how I stepped my way into the industry when I was studying at uni. Just like getting to know like different agencies. I met a lot of models and things like that, and in doing that I created my own style. but then it was like very clean, very pretty, and it's funny because there was just a point where I was like, I hate it. Like everyone was shooting that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel like, although there was like a bit of me, like everyone's work is unique to them.
Yeah.
But I just felt like I just don't enjoy it. It
Yeah.
or like feel fulfilled. So yeah, and then I just kind of went like complete opposite, and I was like, I want like colour, vibrancy, like a bit of tackiness, and like kind of a bit of humour to it, like not so serious in my work. So
which I think is great, and I guess what's amazing about the industry as well, because you really get to choose what path you want to take and what sort of style you want to do. And I guess it's nice that you've been able to see your style develop over time.
Absolutely.
What would you call your style now, then, if it's not like the clean?
I don't know if these are the 3 words that I keep to, but lately I've just been saying that my work's quite vibrant, feminine, and satirical in terms of like slight mockery, not so serious. Yeah, that's how I kind of describe it, but I don't know if it is yet. It's definitely what I gravitate to in terms of like artwork and imagery. But yeah, and a friend of mine recently, she said that my work is always very like glossy.
Yes, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
So I love the glossy vibe.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with my work.
How does it work with mood boarding before? Like, do you just look up kind of images you want to take inspiration from, and then you say, okay, this is what I want to do in this shoot, or in the spur of the moment? How does it all
I think it
together?
really depends on what the reason of the shoot is, who it's for, what the intention is. So if it's for like a specific brand, or for a model, for like a model's book, or just for a specific client. If it's for a product, then that's what we're focusing on and what the vibe is for that client. And then if it's for like a model, the intention is really just to make sure that you can see how beautiful they are and how great they are. So it really depends on that, and that's where I start mood boarding. I try and find a specific look and aesthetic that I think suits, but also keeping it true to like me and how like I shoot in my work, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of where it starts, and then I just get carried away.
I was actually even saying to Naomi the other day after we did our test shoot, I was saying how great the vibe is that you create when we have a shoot. Like, there's always music on in the background, it's always really positive. And is that something that you always prioritise when you're doing a shoot? Do you always kind of want to have a good feel? Because I guess for me, like, it makes me feel so much more comfortable when, like, obviously we know each other, but I guess for new models who don't know you and if you're just going straight into it, is that something that you like to prioritise, the vibe of it?
For sure. Like, I've always, my one thing as well, especially when shooting with models, I always want them to be comfortable, because that's where you kind of relax and you see it in the pictures. And especially when it's a one-to-one, I want someone to feel close and like they know me, which is really hard to bring, especially when I've just met them for like the first 15 minutes and you go into the studio and you go on set and shoot. So I definitely try and create like just a nice vibe. Have some music playing that's not too loud or whatnot. Just create a good vibe. And I think it's a lot easier generally when it's like an all-girls set. It's just like, girls being girls. It's a good vibe for that. So
I have a question about, like, in terms of your journey. So you graduate from uni, London School of Fashion, and then what next? Like, how do you go then into like professional photography and stuff? Because I always wonder about like how you get into that.
I was really silly and naive. So after I graduated, I was like, I'm just going to be self-employed, I'm going to make it, I'm going to just work for myself and do it. Which is the perfect attitude. Just be a little bit realistic, please.
Because I even remember when we first met, and I think this was maybe on one of our first test shoots, and you said, like, obviously modelling's great and you can go and do the shoots, but it's always good to have something else.
Absolutely.
Because just doing that, it's kind of hard to make a living out of because it's so inconsistent. And I think with us as well, because we're doing acting and modelling, they're both so inconsistent, so it's hard. It's a hard industry.
Absolutely. I think anything in the arts, and the problem is the arts isn't really supported. It's not a traditional route, especially to older generations. So it's hard to find the support in that. So I went straight to self-employment, and I was really lucky, like in terms of my mum, like she's so supportive, and she's like, you want to do that, you go do that. I just kind of tried to like figure out what I wanted to shoot and just make it right. But looking back on reflection now, what I should have done is assist photographers, get some experience in the industry, because for me, I felt like I was stuck in this like small photographer knows what she's doing, not big enough yet to do like bigger brands, or like have bigger clients that trust my work because the clientele isn't there. If that makes sense. Like in my head I'm like, I can do that, and I can shoot that now, but I don't want to shoot that without a brand backing it or without a reason. But I don't think that's a good way to see it anyway. I think shoot what you can, do what you can, even if it's at a smaller scale, because you always need content and to show that you can do it for yourself. But I always think it's good, but it's difficult, and I think you always need to be your biggest fan.
100%. And I think it's interesting what you said about consistency, because this is something that we've been talking about as well. Like, how often would you say you need to be creating content and posting content so that people can see your portfolio?
I'm always up and down about this. So my photography account, I feel like I was posting quite consistently before, and that helped a lot. But this was also in like the early stages of Instagram, where there wasn't as many like influencers, and that wasn't the main thing. So now influencers are like the main thing that that Instagram is prioritizing. I think that's created a different dynamic for me, because then I realised I had to actually make my account a lot more personable and like show me as a person rather than like my work. That's really changed the dynamic of my how I use Instagram for sure. And I've just started like creating more reels of like behind the scenes with me, or like what I do, things like that. It's quite hard. Like, really showing off like who you are and whatnot. It's funny because I'm reading this book at the moment by Sharmadean Reed. Do you know who that is?
No.
She's incredible. Like Sharmadean is a businesswoman, but she's like, she champions women. And this book is like a manifesto for women. And there was a chapter in it, and she was just talking about how it's with women, like you have to do so much more labour in terms of you need to make sure you look good all the time. You're spending money on eyelashes, your hair, skincare, the way you dress, whatnot. And you have to sell yourself as a woman. But when it comes to like men, albeit like different circumstances, but say like men, businessmen, you don't know anything about them in their personal lives. But you know that their work is good or whatnot. And I don't know, I'm still kind of questioning whether that's the same in the creative field, maybe so. So I just feel like I'm trying to see what works and what I do really want to do, because I think opening up in your personal life and like creating more of a personable account is really good, but it's quite exhausting. It's like extra work.
Exactly, and it's also a really vulnerable position to put yourself into, because obviously the more that you're telling people about your life, the more you're open to criticism about your life, where it shouldn't have to be that way. As you said, it should just be my work should
my
be
work, and this is what I do.
And I think also it's interesting that you were talking about having the two accounts, so having your photography account and then your personal one, because I guess with your personal one you can do what you want. It's your
no judgment.
Exactly. But then with your professional one, then having to put your personality on top of that, it's hard because then you wonder, oh, should this just go on my personal account? Then does it have to be with my creation? So it's hard.
I actually have a question. This just came to my head randomly. I
Yeah.
thought I've got to ask it. Because you're talking a lot about men and women, and I just really thought, what is the photography industry like? Is there a lot of male photographers or female? Because I feel like I've personally seen a lot of men, but
Yes.
I don't know why.
So, it's funny that you bring this up because I went to the National Portrait Gallery recently and they've got this really small hallway and it's just one wall, probably like the size of this, no, double the size of this actually, like the length of this.
Yeah.
And it was just all female artists photographed by female photographers.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Which was amazing. I didn't realise that because I came like backwards in the exhibition.
Okay, yeah.
But I saw it and then I realised, oh, these are actually all women. And then me and my friend was talking about how the statistics of women, female photographers, in the industry compared to male photographers.
Yeah.
And the statistics were crazy. So, photography itself is has the highest statistic for mostly female to study.
Yeah.
But in terms of women
working
as a professional photographer, I think it was only like 13% in the industry.
And the fact is most of the study is like,
Yeah. Actually, let me just get the statistic because it was
fact checking.
I need to give you that.
Yeah.
Okay, so women only make up 15% of professional photographers, despite 70 to 80% of recent photography graduates being female.
Wow.
Women photographers earn, on average, 40% less than their male counterparts.
Oh gosh.
In 2017, only 13.7 of 153 covers from 10 leading American fashion magazines were shot by women.
Wow.
And less than 25% of commercial photographers represented by 70 of the industry's leading agents are female. And the Association of Photographers, there's only 18% of them, the members that are women. So it's just like...
That's crazy.
Yeah.
There's like a disproportionate amount of like women graduating and then like women getting paid and working.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what's interesting, because I think it is just within the fashion industry and the creative industry as a whole, because my mum works in fashion and she was saying, I just assumed that the majority of people in fashion would be women. That's just what I assumed, whether that's bad or not. But she said, no, her business is so heavily male dominated, and even when she was working on women's wear, the whole team, apart from her, was men. She's like, it's women's wear, which is crazy.
It's very interesting.
It's really sad. But so it's funny that you said that, because just of recent, that's just really like been in my head, and I'm like, this makes me want to make it even more.
It's a drive.
It's definitely a drive. Because it's just like, it's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
And it's like you said, when you go to an all-female set, like obviously you have to work with men and women, but like there is a nice environment, like a female model shot by a female photographer, like it's a nice collaborative environment. It would be nice if there was more of that.
Absolutely, I agree.
So should we talk about Mami now and how you went into
so from, I think it must have been just from like shooting with loads of models and testing with models at the time from loads of different agencies, you hear stories, and I think I think there was a stigma, especially back in the day, of like what fashion used to be like. It was really intense and you'd get told not to eat this and exercise here, you know, all these stories, that it just made me think like, I just want to help. So Mami Management is a mother agency, and the best way that I can describe that, and what I always say, is I am basically the momager. Like, that is what I do, because I don't book clientele and jobs, well, at least very rarely. I basically just scout and develop models, and Mami started just before COVID, which was a really awkward time, such an awkward time. And then I just kind of, I just ended up starting scouting. I think from like shooting loads of models, especially new faces as well, I kind of get to know like, oh, you can be a model, like I can kind of see it in you, blah blah blah, take it from there. And then working from with various different agencies, I then know the agents, so then I just start like introducing models to agents, and that's kind of how Mami started. Like I just went to just help, and for me, like what my role really is and how I kind of tell people is that it's just to give more of a personable experience for a model, because models can get scouted by agents and they're put into this massive like sea of models and a massive agency, and then they have no idea what the hell's going on.
And you're just left.
And you're there. And you're like, you don't really have a close relationship to your agent that scouted you. You don't really know who else to ask. So that's what my role is to just kind of, one, let you lead the direction that you want to go into rather than be told where to go, what to do, and two, to give you that extra advice, because it's great if you have your parents involved, but they don't know either.
No, exactly.
Like, they don't know how the industry works. So it's just kind of something that I've just naturally fallen into. And that's kind of where it's gone. But it's not, I always say from the beginning, it's not a big agency, and I do that, that's an active thing that I want to keep to, because the models that I look after and the ones that I have a very good relationship with, especially with the young ones as well, like with their parents. I know what they want to do and where they want to be in life, and what they're comfortable with, and that's the main thing. Like I don't just expect to like, cool, go into the industry, make me money. That's not really the role here for me. It's more, cool, let me guide you. What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself? Let's try and make this happen. This is what we need to do.
Because I think even when I started, I remember my mum, like with all of the contracts and everything, she was so worried at the start, wasn't she?
It's intense.
And you were so helpful with being like, okay, no, we can have another call, it's okay, let's talk, and we can call and we can sort it out. I remember that really putting her mind at ease, because as you said earlier, you hear about all of these stories in the modelling industry, and it's like, oh gosh, like what am I sending my child into? But then I think having you there, and as you said, you have such a great relationship with all of your models, and you're always there if ever I need you. I can send you a voice note or send you a little message, and Cinsy's always answering. But I remember at the start you being so instrumental into making myself, but also my mum, feeling so comfortable about the industry, because it is a scary industry and you just have no idea where to go and what to do. But you were so instrumental into making us feel comfortable.
Absolutely, because like it's a business, but like I just think fashion is not that deep. Like let's just have fun.
It's creative.
Absolutely. So if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And it's the same with like my termination process. Like I'm always like, if we don't vibe, if we don't get along, that's completely fine. Like it's just not meant to be. Like your journey is obviously different. That's fine. Like I'm not going to pressure anyone to stay with me because it's like, I found you, you know? So it's just kind of like, we'll just see what happens.
And how would you say it works, I guess, then with a mother agent? Is it just really as people are developing, and then what happens if you do suddenly, I don't know, make it massively? Do you still keep the mother agent? How does that all work?
As in, if the model I becomes big. So I represent my models worldwide, so that means I will develop you up until just forever, really. Like I'm always there for you. But I'm also in charge of your international placements as well. So where most time is spent is as a new model, and that's for like the first 3 years at least, really. It really depends on the person, how well and confident they are in the role, like in modelling, and like how like comfortable they feel and what they want to do. If it's their one major thing that they want to do and like career that they want to go into, then great, like I'll help you with that, and it'll be a lot faster. So it really is dependent on each individual person. But so I will always be there. There's never a time where I won't be. You might see me a lot less or hear from me a lot less if you are like, if you know what you're doing, you've done this now, like, it's easy, you don't need me. But where I come to play is when you're, I guess, succeeding and thriving in your city, where I guess it will be when I'm doing your international placements, because then I'll help you with your scheduling, because then if you're in like Paris for 3 months, you need to make, and then you've got like a job in London for 2 days, I'll organise the visas, the flights, things like that. Just kind of making it all easy for the model. That's kind of my role.
Which is really nice to have, I think. I think what would be interesting to talk about, because I think a lot of people would like to know about it, is the development phase. Because as you said, like the 3 years, I think some people, even when I first started, I thought, oh, okay, I'm signed now, that's it. Like, I'm
oh my god, it's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning.
When you said, like, oh, new model, like, 3 years, I was like, well, that is a much longer time than you think. Like, you're like, a year, that feels like a long time, but, like, I guess it takes a while.
I think
for everybody, I guess.
I guess it, like I said, it depends on each individual, and also how old they are. So, like, I have this habit of scouting, like, 16 to 18-year-olds.
So I think when you scouted me, I was 16.
And then I heard from you a year later, right?
Yeah,
and 16, every time I scout someone 16, I'm like,
oh no.
Like, I'll see you in 4 years. Because, basically, I mean, I don't know why, but it just so happens that I do end up scouting quite young. But they have school. There's homework, there's only school holidays that we can work with. So that's, a year can go so fast in that time. And for both boys and girls, from the age of like 16 to about 18, even 20, your body's changing, your face is changing, you're figuring out who you are and what you want to be. Like, there's so much happening in that time frame that you might not even want to model or be centre of attention or have the mentality and the right lifestyle to go to a casting tomorrow or get picked up and flown to anywhere, for like 2 days.
It's exciting, but it's also scary to then just get on a plane and go off.
Exactly. And to have a parent that's like confident enough to be like, and trust you, to just be like, okay, cool, like this is what you're doing for the next week. It's not everyone's cup of tea and like type of lifestyle to live, for sure. So then it depends on where you are. So like most of the time, everything happens in London, or maybe Manchester. I guess in UK, in England. In England, it's usually London and Manchester. Mainly London, really. Then you need time for like test shoots, and then so that's a collaborative shoot for the model, the photographer, stylist, makeup artist to all gain experience and all get images out of it. So the model will need to build their book and gain experience, and really, like, a model needs to be shooting a lot for them to start seeing what they look like in imagery, seeing how they pose and being like, okay, cool, that works for me, this angle not so much. And not only that, not only you need experience, you then need, you don't know what your confidence is like in front of like all these random people just staring at you, like against the wall or or whatever. And then you just need to like, do it. Like, that's quite intimidating.
It's intimidating because even going from, say, like our test shoots when it's just us two, and then when I went to my first job and there was just people, and I was, oh my gosh, it's crazy. There were so many people, someone doing makeup, costume, everything, and I was like, oh, okay, and everyone's there, and you'll take one picture, then they'll come and adjust you, and just not used to that. So it's definitely something to get used to.
Absolutely. So I think what I find as well is that girls are always more eager. They want it. They're in there. We're signed now. How do I get the money? But my case is, and what I always stress is, patience is key. We want to develop you so that when you are put in that situation, you understand each step that you've got to get your hair and makeup done, what they expect from you, how they expect you to pose. Like, don't feel shy in front of everyone, or we want you to thrive and turn up ready and capable. And that's why it is always a lot slower, especially I mean, I don't know about other agents, but for me, I just want to make sure that you're ready.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's nothing worse than throwing you in the deep end, being on set and being like, oh my god, this is a lot, I don't know if this is the right way, I don't know if he's speaking to me correctly, like, I don't know how this is meant to go, so I always test with my models first, and I think being a photographer as well really goes hand in hand, and it helps so much. Like, you already know me, we can start post training, and just getting comfortable in front of the camera, and then working our way up from there. So yeah, that's kind of the development.
Yeah, I feel like that helps a lot, that you're a photographer and being able to do the test shoots yourself, because otherwise I guess the agents would just have to send you off to test shoots with people you don't know. So I even remember when I did my first job and they said, oh, I can't believe this is your first job, like you seem like you really know what you're doing. I was like, well, that's Cinsy, you're training for this. Which was really fun. So yeah, with that development process then, it is just depending on the person and what happens.
And just in the nicest way, having a personality.
Like,
I think it's hard, as like I said, from like 16 to 18, you're figuring yourself out. Not everyone's going to be like, not everyone's going to know what they want to be or want to do in life, or like have that many hobbies. And also, not only that, you're speaking to a range of different ages, mostly people who are way older than you, and you're not going to like what 16-year-old is talking to like a 40-year-old like makeup artist, like woman? You know, just
you have to get used to that.
You have to get used to that. It's just like even having a conversation. And that's what I really try and bring out of people as well. Just like spending time with them and like really getting to know who they are and what they're comfortable with.
And what sort of jobs would suit them.
Absolutely.
And I think with the international thing that you were talking about earlier, so would you say that some models would work better in different countries? Because when I did the job, there was a few models on the set who said, oh, like I've moved to Milan because that's just what works best for me. Another guy moved to New York. So what do you think about the whole international thing? Or do you think you should make your mark in London first, in your home country, and then?
So the way I build up a model is get them ready, know what they're doing, know what to expect, shoot. Then I start considering placement, like abroad, when they're thriving in the city, and they've kind of got their regular clients, they're shooting weekly, they know what to expect, and it's kind of like, okay, it's a bit repetitive now. When it kind of plateaus, I guess. That's when I'm like, okay, cool, let's send you abroad. Or maybe a little bit before that, really. It really depends on the person. But yeah, that's when I start thinking about placing internationally, and then I'll look at what they'd be suitable for, whether it is more editorial, whether it is more commercial work. Then different cities are very different. So I'd say LA is commercial, Paris editorial, and high fashion. Very different. And they require like different looks from different models, different faces.
Definitely.
So
would you actually be able to explain for the viewers the difference between commercial and editorial? Because when I first got into it, I had no idea. E-com, all of these words. It's like, what is it?
Keywords.
Oh gosh, what's one of this?
Okay, so what an agency likes is to find a good in-between between editorial and commercial. Editorial is the magazine prints, the runways, like the models that look quite edgy and like very different. Or like they have a specific feature. Like for example, Cara Delevingne was thriving, and it was her brows that were selling it for her. So she was very editorial and she thrived in that. But then she was also really good in between, because then you've got the commercial, which is like your high street brands, everything you see in advertising, like just commercial work. ASOS. So like what I always say to the new faces now is like, cool, like we've got ASOS, the Topshop.
Honestly, Topshop broke my heart. I just don't understand why I love Topshop.
So yeah, but yeah, so all like the more high street or like beauty and skincare, things like that.
Yeah.
Is more commercial work. Commercial's where the money's at.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
Editorial's like the cool stuff.
It's the prestige.
Yeah,
That is very like big achievement.
Yeah. So yeah, it's always good to have a little bit of both. But me personally, I'm like, cool, commercial will make you the money. So.
Yeah, and it's so much fun as well.
Yeah.
Commercial, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's less intense.
Yeah.
The thing is about now, like you can kind of, there's a bit more leeway.
Yeah.
Like you know how like girls under like 5'7", 5'8" really were never able to work.
No.
Now there's a lot more leeway.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And would you say that's more in commercial or in editorial as well?
Both.
Okay, that's really good. Yeah.
You see it more in commercial for sure, but
Yeah.
I think there is a lot more leeway in terms of editorial as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you think some models can do both?
Yeah.
Can. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just like about finding your niche, but then also being open to
Definitely.
doing everything.
And I think it really depends on the model in terms of being comfortable in that situation.
Yeah.
Like, if you've been in commercial work for so long, and then you're suddenly in like this editorial shoot, you probably don't even. It's a completely different outlook in terms of the way you're posing, what they want from you. Like, that's another whole experience in itself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What would you say would be your biggest tip for someone wanting to go into either the modelling or photography industry, just in the creative industry, I guess?
Yeah.
What would be your biggest tip for someone starting out?
For photographers, for like all creatives and artists, I think find who you love, the type of person that you like, the direction that you want to go into, who inspires you, and if they're based locally or somewhat locally, see if you can assist and see if you can just be around it. Like, immersion is the best thing for anyone if you want to go into whatever career and whatever.
And how would you go about doing that? Do you just email them, call them?
Email, and just say like, really love your work, this is the direction I want to go into. Is there, like, if you ever need anyone just for extra set of hands, or I'd love to just shadow you, like, please let me know, let me know. But then I would also work on your craft. So like, if you're a photographer and you want to go into a specific direction of work, learn about it, do it. For modelling, I would find agencies or find models that you think that you look like, and kind of go into that direction. See, because all agencies have a different look and they like different types of models. So find what agencies that you think you would be suitable for, what clients and what work that you think that you would be suitable for, and gain your own experience in booking your own test shoots, finding photographers that can help start off your portfolio, and then start reaching out and be like, and take like plain Polaroid, like digitals of yourself, like full bodies, headshots, and be like, this is what I want to do, like, if you think I'm suitable, I'd love to meet you.
And would you say that for both industries, it will start off with you having to do a lot of work that's not paid?
Yes. I always say to models as well, like, you will always start off in debt. Unfortunately, but maybe that's for all industries, really. Because you need to invest in yourself.
You do.
And for like new models, there'll be a time where, like, hopefully you can do free test shoots. But then if you want to excel your portfolio and really like stand out, pay for the test shoots and get good imagery of yourself. Because they'll know how to photograph you well, and there'll be like more teams on board. If you pay for that work, then you get good imagery, and that stands out for clients. So you'll always start off in debt.
Definitely.
Yeah, that was actually good, because to me, modelling sometimes feels like something that's like very out of your control, but it's interesting that you said you can like do stuff yourself. So would you say like it's important to like, you can build your portfolio by yourself?
Definitely. You can build a portfolio by yourself. Also, agencies love it now when you've got a hobby and when you do something else. Because the one thing that I will always say to models is this is not a career forever. This is not a journey for life.
Very
Modelling,
short-lived.
like it is short-lived. So meet people, travel, make money, enjoy it whilst it lasts if it works for you, and then continue with whatever you want to do in your life. Like what were your original plans and whatnot. Because it's very unrealistic that your modelling career will be
last forever.
It doesn't. Because we all age, and not even that. Like aesthetics and what the industry want from models and how they look changes. So you might not even. So,
or even if you look at the Victoria's Secret fashion show that just happened, they brought back all of the it's amazing, all of like the 90s models, all of the icons,
Oh my gosh.
but even the 90s look of what a model
It's what
should
they were
look
looking
like
for at that time.
to now is so different. And obviously those models who came back, obviously they've made it, they've got their millions and their billions, but that's very rare. Very rare.
And also it's temporary when you bring back an icon. Like that doesn't mean that they're going to be working again, you know. I love looking at like 90s models and watching them come back purely for the fact that they move so differently.
They do.
Like, they're like
such a style.
And they strut, but it's so different.
It's just what you think of when you think of a model. Like, I think the 90s
models have a place in my heart.
the 90s in general I love.
It's iconic.
Not that I was
You weren't alive.
But you know.
But we know. Talking about like the changes, do you think like a model has to be on social media and like that's an important part? Because you're saying it's an important part like kind of for your professional work. Do you think for a model it's important?
Yeah, for sure. I think it definitely helps. Clients definitely look and stalk you for sure to see what you're capable of, what you're like. Because it's good to see that you can work in like your portfolio and that's how you look, but you can't really tell someone's vibe.
No.
And the thing is, like, it's not your book that will sell it to you to a client anymore. They want good vibes on set. Like, they want it to be a nice, easy, smooth day. Like someone that can talk and chat and make the day go faster and just be easy on set. They're going to stalk your socials to find that, to figure out your personality. So that's always a selling point. And I think, I guess it is just the influencer era. Like they love it when you've got followers. But
you see a lot of influencers kind of doing like being the face of brands now. Like it's kind of a bit interchangeable, isn't it? Influencer.
So how many followers would you say? Because we were talking about this. We were like, so what sort of level do we need to be at? How many? How do we get we want to go to Fuji.
A brand trip.
Yeah, we'd love to do a brand trip. I feel like they don't do that anymore. I haven't seen a brand trip in a while.
I don't know, I think they,
I remember in like 2016, everyone was on a brand trip. They were always going to Hawaii, shooting something. But I feel like I see it less, but maybe that's because I watch YouTube less.
Honestly, same. But I mean, having the followers helps. Because I guess at the end of the day, that's going to sell more products, a bigger audience.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess with modelling, it is if you see someone and you like them as a
especially commercial.
I want to wear that. I remember, what was it? The Molly May Zara jacket, the green one, and it went viral. It was sold out everywhere, but it's because everyone loves Molly May. And nothing really. There was nothing special about the jacket.
It sells. That absolutely sells. And it feels, at least back in the day, I feel less so now. Like early influencer days, it was genuine because really, like, influencing started because you were passionate about whatever it was. About styling, about fitness and health, about your own hobbies. These were who you were, and people enjoyed that and enjoyed watching you thrive. Like that's how influencing started. And now it's just kind of like, cool, what can I sell? So I watched a TikTok a while ago, and actually it's always in my head of like, I think the influencing ideology will kind of fade out.
Oh yeah.
Because it is just ads. It's not even who you are as a person, and if you actually like this product or you're just wearing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I do think, I mean, for now, it definitely does help. I don't know how long for, having a following.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of different as a model. I think it does sell to a client, of course, but I do think that you don't need to be like have a huge following to be a successful model for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's not really what it's based on.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference between a model and an influencer.
Yeah.
If you're just straight up just a model.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess there's less pressure in that.
Yeah. So, as you said earlier, Mami's quite a small agency, so do you think that affects the jobs that your models get?
No, not at all actually. I pride on the agency being small, and I really see it as like a family. Like I said, I have a really close relationship with the models that I have, and in that I just want I just ask for loyalty.
Yeah.
Because to me, Mami's a small agency, my models are brand new, and the way I see it is that we're all uplifting each other and we're all working our way up and supporting each other. Like, I'm big on supporting like my friends who are creatives or whatever they do, the models that I have. Like, I just want everyone to just support each other, because I don't think it's one person can be successful or, and that's it. Like, it's a way where we can all definitely grow together.
Yeah.
And I think that's a much more wholesome thing than chasing clout as having one influencer or having that one influencer friend that you're like holding on to that you can kind of like vaguely know.
Yeah, trying to get the jobs out of them, or they know them, so I'm going to be friends with them.
Exactly. I want genuine relationships where we can all grow together and support each other, and I like that Mami is small. I don't think it affects the models in terms of their work at all, because having a big following doesn't really impact their work. It's about development in themselves as a model, and because I know what agencies to work with in London, they have the clients and the network. They don't care about who you are, they care about you as a model.
Exactly.
To thrive. So yeah, I'm just really big on loyalty and good relationships. Like, I think my one big thing is I just want people to come away thinking she's nice. Like, I trust her.
And trust is such an important thing.
Absolutely. Like, I want genuine relationships.
Yeah.
Because what's the point of living so like hard?
Yeah.
You know, like I just want to just uplift everyone, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I think
that's a really lovely way to end our first guest episode.
It's been so much fun.
Thank you so much for coming on.
It was really
best time. Yeah, I've loved it. And hopefully you guys have learned a lot from this conversation. I know
I
that.
definitely
I've learned loads and I've had a great time. So yeah, thank you, Cinsy, for coming on. Hopefully we'll get you on again in the future.
I'd love to.
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah, definitely. But thank you for watching this week's episode on Young and Unscripted. We'll see you soon, guys. Bye.